Hello, everyone. I'm Robyn Grable, the founder of Talents Ascend and the Ascend Collective, and your host for Ascending Beyond Barriers. Welcome. Ascending Beyond Barriers is an inspiring podcast dedicated to showcasing the remarkable journeys of small business founders who have faced and overcome significant challenges on their path to success. Each episode delves into the personal stories of entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds, highlighting their unique experiences, struggles, and triumphs. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ascending Beyond Barriers. I'm Robyn Grable, your host, and I am super excited to have Charlynda Scales on with us today. She is a serial entrepreneur. She serves as the founder of Mutt Sauce and Ohio Taste LLC. She's the director of Ohio Taste Foundation, and she's also an author of Rock Bottom Has a Trampoline, which we're going to hear more about that. She's a TEDx speaker, very influential. Her military career spans 15 years, and she's currently an Air Force reservist stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. Welcome, Charlynda.
Hi, Robyn. Glad to be
All
here.
right. So I am super excited because there's so many really kind of similarities in our stories and our lives. I grew up in Indiana, so I'm very familiar with Wright-Patterson base there, so very exciting. But I want to start with what you say about your greatest accomplishment, and that being your son, because I can totally relate to that. My daughter is I think my best accomplishment in life. She's my best friend. She's just everything to me and has been since I had her while I was in the Navy. So it's just great. I want to start with that and then just start telling us about your story, where Mutt Sauce came from. I know the story, but I want our listeners to hear your great story. And then how you went from starting Mutt Sauce and having that business to writing a book called Rock Bottom Has a Trampoline, which has some very big significance there. So just tell us a little bit about your son and your story.
Certainly. Well, again, thank you, Robyn, for having me. I enjoy moments like this to really just reconnect with people I care so much about. And really, the book actually ties in all of these things that we'll talk about today. So the whole journey up to now and having the ultimate blessing of being a mother is part of it. So
Absolutely.
it's something that I say is on the other side of pushing past rock bottom. And when I had my son, I was a single person. So I had left my marriage. So that was a rock bottom moment where I had left a marriage that I pretty much was convinced that I would be in for the rest of my life. And then on the heels of that, having a fork in the road. I could either try something new or just go down this path and continue healing as a single person. I'd done a lot of work on myself to heal from that marriage, to heal mentally, emotionally, and physically, and just say like, what is best for me right now, which is not a question I find myself at that point in my life asking, like, what is good for Charlynda?
Yeah.
I'd always wanted to be a mom, Robyn. I remember remarking in that relationship that I was in my 20s and I said, I want a whole team. Like, that is how many children I want to. I'm Tennessean. I'm a Tennessee darling.
There you
Shout
go.
out to one of my
Yeah.
little sisters. This is her brand. But I grew up in the hills of Tennessee where it's like be fruitful and multiply. So I found myself in the relationship having checked all the blocks of go to school, get the job, court the guy, get married, all those things that society tells us to do. And it was not working,
Yeah.
to now sitting in my infertility doctor's office and saying, I don't know what to do. And she said, you have to get outside of the box if you want something different. If you want a chance at motherhood, you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone. And so I did. It was a big thing for me to do. And just with the hope of one day holding my baby. And he came into this world, David came into this world in March 2020. So the adventure continues.
Wow.
Yeah, adventure doesn't stop. So He's now 4. He was the pandemic clock baby for a while. So when people are like, how long have we been indoors? I'm like, David is 7 months. I tell people, that's how long you've been in the house. Um, he's
Wow.
been a joy. He's the light of my life. Just like you were saying, like you
Yep.
breathe, you're like really breathing oxygen when the baby arrives. Like, what was I doing before they arrived? I don't know. I
Yeah.
wasn't living. This is living. This is what
Yes.
living feels like.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I remember thinking to myself, I just want to have a baby girl. And at the time, I didn't even want to be married. I was like, I just want a baby girl. And I think part of it was because my childhood was so rough that I just
Mhm.
wanted another little girl that I could help be a different person than I was at the time and have a better life than I had. But my dream came true because my first marriage ended as well, and sadly, but I got her out of it, and so that was a blessing in disguise. So tell us about Mutt Sauce because it is absolutely fabulous. I've had the
Mhm.
pleasure of testing it and tasting it myself, different things. So just tell us about that. I know it relates to your grandfather, so tell us about that, and then we'll go from there.
Certainly. My grandfather was a Korean Vietnam War vet. He was very passionate about family, but he was also passionate about sauce. So much so that he was very obsessed about this recipe that he came up with in 1956. It was tomato based, like a barbecue. And so multiple generations had tried this sauce. And then when it came to the grandkids, it was in the fridge. You could try it. You could have backyard barbecue with it, put it on your eggs. And unfortunately, my grandfather passed away right after I commissioned in the Air Force. So he was a big influence for me military wise. We're the only two that have served in the Air Force specifically. And he was the first person to salute me. So I really wanted to carry on that legacy was really my focus at that point in life. But then I remember asking my mom, like, who got the recipe? Because after he passed, nobody had this sauce. And that's when she told me, you've inherited the only copy of this recipe in his handwriting. And, we have grandma's pie recipe and Auntie
Sure.
Jane's, rhubarb. We have these things. But it's just what I've learned is the value that you've assigned it is what it becomes.
Absolutely.
So if it's just a recipe, fine, it's just a recipe. But for me, I sought mentorship to see what could this become. His
Yeah.
call sign was Mutt. He was a very adaptable personality, even in a
Okay.
time where, I would say we were still dealing with segregation and things like that.
Absolutely.
And you see pictures of him with people at backyard barbecues. Everybody looks different. It almost just defied the time.
Yeah.
So they called him Mutt. He was very just blended in anywhere.
Love that.
And I was telling my mentors what I wanted to do, which actually was just make a couple bottles for friends and family. And they came back and said, no, you need to start a business and you need to bottle this because ultimately you want to take care of your family the way that he wanted to take care of the family. This man just ran out of time. And so that's what it was really all about. Like pick up, pick up the baton and keep going. So that was the birth of Mutt Sauce LLC and the product, Mutt Sauce, which is now sold in stores and online and doing great. 10 years later, 10 years
Yeah,
in the game now.
congratulations. That's amazing. And just it is a heartwarming story. I've seen a picture of your grandfather, and just wonderful story. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
It's true that something can mean something to other people, and if you don't do anything with it. So thankfully your family encouraged you to take that and do more with it than just, doing it for friends and family, because the rest of the world gets to enjoy it now. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you've got a big community there in the Dayton area, Dayton, Ohio. So woot woot,
Yeah.
shout out. I was just right
Love
across
it.
the highway, the state line in Richmond, Indiana. That's where I grew up. So
Oh,
very
yeah.
familiar with the area. Still have friends and family there as well. But so you're huge community there. You've got a
Mhm.
kitchen going. So kind of tell us about that. And then we're going to talk about Rock Bottom has a trampoline.
Sure. So at the point that I am in business and in life, I really want to focus on giving back. I really want to just not hoard the experience that I've had as an
Sure.
entrepreneur and just say, well, it worked for me, good for me. You know, It really is about how are you uplifting the next generation of entrepreneurs and your community, by extension. So I did not know the two other co-founders that I have with Otaste Foundation. We walked into downtown Dayton into a building that helps businesses and said there needs to be a commercial kitchen because where are food founders going to make their food? How are they scaling out of their home kitchen and getting contracts, whether it's like catering contracts or, cooking contracts? It's like you have to be in a certified clean kitchen. Now, they were caterers, Jamaica White, DeVere Rice, they were caterers. With my experience with Mutt Sauce, I have a manufacturer. So we didn't actually need a commercial kitchen, but we knew our peers needed one.
Sure.
And the time that I walked in saying, there's a problem, let's solve it, they walked in at the same time. There's a problem, let's solve it. And in their wisdom, City of Dayton, they're like, you guys solve it. We'll back you up.
Okay.
You guys do it.
A minute.
So it took about 4.5 years to get the doors to the commercial kitchen open. It's
Wow.
called 6888 Kitchen. So
Yes.
fun fact, there's a movie coming out. Maybe
Yes.
this will be out this time, but it's called B6888 on Netflix, directed by Tyler Perry,
Yes.
starring Kerry Washington. But they're paying homage to the women that our kitchen is also named after. So the kitchen itself is 6888 Kitchen. And we were doing a radio interview, and this gentleman said, you guys remind me of the 6888. You guys went out there, you tried to do an impossible job, and this was 855 women of color who were sent to Europe during World War II to deliver a backlog of mail, millions of parcels of mail, because the soldiers hadn't heard from their families. And as I'm listening to this, I'm low-key embarrassed, Robyn, because I have served over a decade, and I'm like, who?
Right. Don't feel bad. I didn't know about it either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was like, who are the 6888? So we did the digging and looking into their history, and they did exactly what he said. They gave him 6 months to deliver that backlog of mail, and they did it in 3 months.
Wow.
Truly iconic work. And then found out that the commander of the battalion, the 6888th Central Postal Battalion, was Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams Early, and she was a resident of Dayton, Ohio.
Wow.
So, that was just really
Wow.
purpose driven. We're like, this is all supposed to happen.
Exactly.
We
It all
we
lines up.
have to name this kitchen after them. So
Wow. Oh my gosh, I just got chills. That was like chilling. Wow. Oh my gosh. I did not know that aspect of it. So that
Mm.
is amazing. And I know the film comes out, I think it's in December. It comes out in December.
Mhm.
So hopefully everyone has watched it by now, but if you haven't, please look it up and watch it
Yeah.
because it's just amazing story. There are so many of those stories, particularly around women veterans. I know that from just my time in the Navy a long time ago, even before that, there's just so many stories that haven't been told, and we
Yeah.
need to have them told. So
I
just
hope this
thank
is a
you for,
catalyst. I
yes,
hope this becomes a thing.
absolutely.
More of that.
Absolutely. So that's amazing. So great. All right. So now let's kind of get into Rock Bottom has a trampoline, because one of the things I
Yeah.
really want you to tell our listeners is what's something and maybe a challenge you've overcome and how you would, advise them on overcoming it, or what's some of your greatest moments that you've worked through. So tell us about the book and then just give us your advice for entrepreneurs out there listening.
Well, yeah, thank you for that. So Rock Bottom Has a Trampoline was a book that had been kind of sitting in my heart for a few years, actually since 2017, where the chapter one where I left that marriage.
Mm,
And I wanted to tell people. I think what I was seeing was that there were so many stories of either the entrepreneur who had made it, they've made so much money, they're successful, they're famous, and they give you the 5 steps to doing it too. But
right.
it wasn't all sunshine and roses. I'm
No.
like, you're leaving out a lot of stuff. Or
Yes.
I can't relate to you because you're leaving out the real rock bottom moments.
Yes.
And I felt it was a disservice talking with one of my mentees. He's like, oh my gosh, your journey is just so inspiring. And, it just always worked out for you. And I'm like, no, No, I have done you a disservice by not telling you about that.
Right.
And I didn't want to be another one of those people that just gave the 10 steps to being, successful book.
Exactly.
I said, how about we just do something different? How about we tell the story of the worst things that happened over the journey?
Yeah.
But not just that, I'm not going to leave them hanging with this horrible thing happened, the
Right.
end.
Right.
This is a type of rock bottom because there's different types of rock bottom. And rock bottom has a trampoline.
Yes.
You will bounce back. You are not made to stay at rock bottom. So let's figure out how we're going to bounce back from this. And entrepreneurs especially have many of those moments, and they think, oh, well, my situation, I got rejected at Shark Tank. How do you bounce back from that? Because some go there and they think there's no bouncing back from that. I
Right.
went on TV, I got rejected.
Especially Shark Tank, right? They think, oh my
Yeah,
God, this is the end. Yeah.
they think it's the end, and it's not, because your journey and the reason why you're here is so much more than a
Yes.
TV show. It's so much more than that.
Yes.
And I wanted them to see that. I want them to go through seeing through my eyes the journey, and seeing how it is a journey to self-actualization,
Yeah.
to knowing who you are, why you're
Yeah.
here, and what you're supposed to do before your time is done here.
Yeah.
And I just want them to see that. It keeps
Good for you.
going. But there's blessings in the rock bottom moments.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in I got an apartment in DC. I only had my clothes. I didn't have any furniture. I was really trying
Wow.
to figure out how to keep going because I had just won the Bob Evans Award. And Bob Evans had given an award to 3 veteran-owned businesses nationally. Plus, I got mentorship from Damon John.
Yes.
Right? So
Amazing.
got rejected at Shark Tank. Damon John was not there. 4 years
Ah,
goes by that I
yeah.
keep going after the rejection, and you're given mentorship from Damon John.
Nice.
No
See?
equity in your company taken. They give you a check. And so it all comes back. There's nothing that's ever delayed, or,
Absolutely.
there's nothing that's ever denied. It might just be delayed, but it's never denied.
Right.
So I look at those moments, and I say, what was the mindset? The mindset was, um, there's got to be more. I had a conversation with a very like-hearted, I call them like-hearted people, a very like-hearted individual who told me in that apartment, she said, this isn't about you.
Right.
I was about to be on the cover of Military Spouse magazine, which is all over the nation, all over the world, actually.
Yeah.
And I was trying to tell her why I was not qualified to be on the cover,
Oh.
because I was internalizing. She said this was not about your ability to put dinner on the table by 7 or stand at an airport with a sign that says welcome home.
Yeah.
She said, I'm trying to tell a story of military spouses that goes beyond those stereotypical things.
Yep.
Military spouses are running companies. Military spouses are taking leadership roles across the nation. We cannot win wars without military spouses. And I want the people to know that. And I'm using your testimony to do that. So in the midst of your rock bottom, I need you to get your butt up,
Bounce up. Yeah.
bounce up. And that's where rock bottom has a trampoline came from,
I love
because
it.
she said, it's not about you. You got to believe. When you believe in something bigger than yourself, rock bottom has a trampoline.
Oh my God.
And you start to look at it differently. I'm like, this was a moment given to me, that there's no noise. I
Yeah.
know that there are spouses out here that you have to juggle your checklist, their checklist, random new tasks that come your way, and all of it seemingly has to get done or the person goes postal.
Yeah.
There was so much noise that I was having to deal with on a day-to-day basis that I almost lost the blessing of waking up and
Wow.
hearing nothing.
Wow. Oh my gosh, chills again. You're just like I'm getting goosebumps. This whole conversation, it's just
Yeah.
it truly is true because we say it all the time. It's one of the reasons we advocate for military spouses as well at Talents Ascend because they're so resilient, they're so resourceful, and they're getting it done. And they don't their stories aren't told enough. So thank you for leading the charge in that way. Just amazing. So I love that that's where the title came from. I definitely feel, again, very much similarities in our stories. And somebody said to me the other day, it's like, when you have a great idea, you were given that idea to do something with it. You were given that idea,
Yeah.
nobody else. Like, so, and I have to believe that. Like, I have to know that I was given this gift to do what we do at Talents Ascend and make it work and make it happen, and it is not easy. And you're right, people see all the success stories and they see all the $1 million deals, but the work that led up to that, it's hard. It
Oh
is
yeah.
hard. So all right, so give us your advice. We've got listeners out there. You've already talked really great points on not giving up, listening to yourself, doing that self-actualization, which is wonderful. What would your advice be for somebody that's thinking about starting a business, whether it's in the food industry, which is tough food industry, or any other business, writing a book? Just what would your advice be?
Yeah, well, you hit on something really important, which is you have a vision that's been given to you, and it's been given to you for a reason.
Yeah.
Um, you're not going to be set up for failure when it comes to that. But at the same time, anyone who means a lot to you, who is, I would say, whether it's your children or it's your immediate family, or if you do have a partner or spouse, you have to over communicate. If you think that you've spelled
Yes.
everything out of what you got to do, just take a minute and say even more and make sure that they have bought into it because it was not their vision. This
Right.
was not their dream. This was not their plan. So
Yes.
it's a leadership challenge to be an entrepreneur and have everyone around you be happy about you being an entrepreneur. Like that
Yes.
is a hard lesson. I had to do some introspection because, like, this is not what they signed up for. Same with
Right.
military spouses. They didn't necessarily sign up for it unless they were
Right.
recruiting you in college and like, I'm gonna get me a military person. You know,
Right.
they, they didn't necessarily
Love that
say,
uniform.
yeah, I love that uniform. So you have to bring them into the circle and let them feel a part of it. Because you do not want to be at the end of the path as an entrepreneur. Like, look at all the awards, look at all the things I accomplished, and they're over there like, yeah, and you just dragged us the whole way.
Right?
Yeah.
I think many marriages have ended because of that, because they've not been able to understand. I'm guilty of it myself, so I'm going to take your advice because I
Mhm.
don't over communicate with my husband, and he's so in this journey with me. But I
Mhm.
think part of it is I don't tell him things because I don't want him to worry about me. And he can't solve it necessarily for me, but he
Yeah.
can be there to support me. So I absolutely 1000% agree with you. We need to over communicate. We need to tell people that we need help. We need to ask for
Um,
help. We need to let people know that we're down because you're going to have moments of whoa low. I like the world is ending, negative account balance in my checking account. I don't know how I'm going to make payroll. It's like, what's happening? You're going to have those moments. And then you're going to have the really high highs. Hey, you just won the Bob Evans Award. Now what? Like, what do we do now? It's like such
yeah.
great highs that come with that. So, wow, that's such amazing advice. So,
And one thing you
yeah,
just pointed out is there's high highs, there's low lows, and those can exist at the same time.
yes,
That's
we
the I
can.
think the hardest part where I find I'm doing the most mentorship, especially for the startups, is they're like, I just won this award, or I just got 5,000 orders because I was on this TV show. I don't have any money
Right.
to do
I
it.
can't make production. Like I can't make it fast enough. Yeah. So now that's a good problem to have, but yes, it's still a problem and you're still stressed over it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can coincide because like the Bob Evans, I'm on every channel. doing a lot of PR and press, and they want you to just be like, I'm blessed and highly favored, and I'm very grateful, and thank you so much. And I'm propping up my laptop on a box.
Exactly.
They don't see that there's nothing.
Yeah.
I have nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm on camera shouting blessings because it is still good. It is
Exactly.
still great. My personal life, no, but it is still a great opportunity. And
Absolutely.
I didn't want to miss that, and I didn't want, what I was going through personally to not translate to my gratitude,
Right.
which was completely separate. And
Absolutely.
we veterans, we compartmentalize, so I guess that is the one skill. If you do have it, you're gonna have to use it. You're gonna have to use it. You're gonna have to be able to put stuff in a box and execute.
Absolutely.
It's
Wow.
not healthy, but
Yeah, absolutely. No, it isn't. But I think great advice. Just I think we could talk for hours probably because there's just so much to share between your great experience and what you're going through. Because people can learn from adversity and they should learn from adversity. Everyone's going
Mhm.
to fail at something, but it's how you get back up and how you go on and how you take that gift that you've been given, those ideas, how you move them forward. That's what really counts. So Charlynda, thank you so much for being on. We so appreciate you sharing your story and being here to talk with me today. I just really appreciate you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.